Hey, welcome back everybody. OldBeardedGaming here with another 100 days. That's right, we make it all the way to day 200. I'm mega excited to see you guys. Welcome aboard for the ride. A lot of changes, a lot of things happening in this next 100 days. We're going to cover it all. Don't worry, I got you guys covered. We're good. We'd start out day 101 with a quick assessment of what sort of gear we had. We're level 9, we want to do better because once we ding level 10, it's no holds bar inside of the vault. You die in the vault, you die for real, meaning you lose all your stuff. So we were going to need better gear, and that meant crafting. For those keeping score, we are on currently the 0.0.2 update, which meant that it didn't really take a whole lot of materials to be able to craft gear. Kind of miss it now that we're on the 4th update, if you can believe it or not. But we make that little helmet, and we'd think about going ahead and starting some trades to get our unbreaking and all the enchantments that we need. Additionally, we need to update our pickaxe and add a little bit more mining speed and perhaps some reach down the road. All of it very useful inside the vault. Speaking of which, it's day 102 and that's what you guys are here for, vault goodness. But that means we gotta complete objectives, and that means we need to go exploring. Didn't really have enough diorite, but I know how to make it because I'm just that cool. Nah, I'm not really that cool, I just actually pay attention. And we have crafting recipes for all this stuff. It just takes nether quartz. Fortunately, I know where that is in great supply. Day 103, and doesn't this just always happen? You go shopping for one thing and you end up getting a whole bunch of other things? Well, we found another fortress. Can't pass that up. Had to get in here and explore because we needed to find that sweet, sweet blaze spawn. Turns out it really wasn't too far away, just a hop, skip, and a jump across the little chasm. And there we have it, blaze spawner for later reference. Easy blaze rods means we can take more advantage of those villager rooms should they have an end portal. Already day 104, we're back in the overworld crafting up our diorite and getting ready to complete the objectives here on the Vault Crystal. We needed a little wheat, so I got a little sidetracked with a little bit of farming. You guys know farming, it's why you're here, it's the content everybody craves. Well, not really, it just allows us to be able to do a few more villager trades and be able to pimp our gear even a little bit more. Now that we've unlocked Mega Jump, having Feather Falling 4 is just an absolute must on your gear. Alright, fine, I'll give in to peer pressure. Here it is. For your viewing enjoyment, farming. Ah, yes, the slow, methodical grow pace. Slightly better than using bone meal. Whatever. It gets the objectives complete, and it doesn't take overtly all that long. I still miss twerking. Never thought I'd actually ever say that sentence out loud. Well, it's the late hours of day 104. Let's go ahead and jump into a vault. Been ready for this. The gear's all checked out. Hopefully we can ding level 10 after this one. Let's go! Any moment now. You know, I swear this used to be faster. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was. Well, it doesn't matter. We're inside now, and there really wasn't anything remarkable going on in this vault. Some standard POI stuff. Everything was working pretty good. The gear's holding up nice, kind of liking the flow of things. Really loving being able to break these spawners before a second wave can spawn. Super handy. In fact, I'm really curious to see how good this works once we get a Sparkletine gem going in one of these pickaxes. Maybe for the next upgrade. And so there I was, just looting away, playing inventory manager as you do, pretty much unabatedly taking control of this entire vault, when all of a sudden, a wild elite husk showed up. Now there really isn't anything overtly special about these elite mobs, save for the elite spider. Still really not a fan of that guy. Haven't seen another one since. I'm waiting for round 2. But regardless, pillaring up a couple blocks just simply seems to do the trick. I speculate this actually gets maybe a little bit harder once we get above certain level thresholds, that some of the elite mobs will pose a little bit more of a threat. But really it's just a matter of getting to a safe space where they can't hit you, but you can hit them, and rinse repeat. Now in forthcoming patch notes for the 3rd update, it was mentioned that the sweeping edge damage was going to be corrected, because right now the main target takes the bulk of the damage and everything else just takes 1, and that kind of sucks. What doesn't suck is these sub-level 10 ore deposits. Finding Bentonite seems to be the real holdup to being able to unlock knowledge points. For the most part, Vault Diamond's really not all that rare, but the Bentonite is really where the things kind of slows down in terms of knowledge production. Always happy to see that in a vault. Well, anyways, it's time to hightail it out of here, break the frame as we do, steal a couple chunks, and look at that, over 4,400 experience. Not enough for level 10, but that's pretty decent, I'll take it. It basically left us on the morning of day 106, and you know what? It was time to go ahead and mine out the rest of this giant vault stone ore deposit that we found. Well, it's a good thing these things are so big. Spend less time underground is always a positive in my book. We ended up with 26 chunks out of that. That's not too shabby. Day 107 and we're back on the crystal grind. This one, not too difficult. I have absolutely everything that it requires sitting inside of our inventory chests. Like a Boy Scout, always prepared. We'd pop that shiny bling button and hear the feel-good noises as we complete yet another crystal and get ready to dive into probably our last vault before hitting level 10. I'm really looking forward to this next step in the vault adventure, hoping that once we get above level 10 here, that the loot gets a little bit better. This vault was going to spawn chunky boys, and that just meant they were about 20% more thick. Since we're pretty close to one-shotting them anyways, 20% really didn't make a huge difference. 2 shots and everything pretty much dies. Although the creepers kinda new. Wish I knew that they were worth 400 experience apiece. Could have farmed those out a little bit more, but live and learn. These gilded chests feel like they do give a little bit better loot. We got a recipe to be able to replicate them on the outside world. That's kinda cool. Took an opportunity to grab some cactus, cacti, whatever the plural is. Never miss an easy opportunity for vault resources. And this is a pretty pathetically guarded ore deposit, but I'd find out why. Nothing of interest in here. Such a waste. We'd continue looting without really any incident. Find another one of these ore deposits, this one with an actual Benny. One whole Benny. That's all we get out of this vault. Really hope these get better after level 10, but I think I'm going to have to wait till probably level 25 before it really steps up the game. Inventory full, we'd nope out of our last sub-level 10 vault. Just a little shy of 2,000 experience points, 44 chests open, 61 mobs killed. It's not too bad. I guess we'll take it. And it was time to take our next selection. We leveled up and we're going for 1 point in Hunter, which allows us to immediately pick the only specialization, Observer. I don't know why that's 2 separate things. It kind of seems like it could just be packaged. This skill should allow us to be able to find points of interest, at least related to the objectives, as well as some vault altars, a little more easily inside of the vaults. The range isn't the most fantastic. It allows us to see just about halfway through a vault room, but we can use it twice inside of one room and pretty much ascertain whether or not there's anything of importance there. We've gone 3 whole minutes without your favorite content. Here it is. More farming. Get some. Soak it in, everybody. Midway through day 109. And we've got our crystal complete for our first ever level 10 plus vault. Super excited to get in here. Just going to go ahead and top off, pop on in. Immediately blown away by the majestic theme change. So much different than what we've been experiencing up until this point. Snowy, very cool looking, slightly dangerous in that there's a lot of sticker bushes. The sweet berries all over the place. As you're just zooming around through the vault, it's very easy to take a little bit of unnecessary damage, but just got to kind of keep your wits about you. Sadly, the loot, nothing to write home about. In fact, these wooden chests, just absolutely pathetic. I was hoping for more. Neat little thing you got to be aware of, snow. Yeah, it'll get you stuck and you start freezing around the peripheral of your vision. No bueno. We test out Hunter, and look at that. It sparkles green for just a little moment up there, letting me know there's something of interest. Sadly, it wasn't an obelisk. More often than not, it seems to be these vault altars. I have mixed feelings about these. They don't have really any great loot, and they tend to cost me quite a bit. I usually can afford them, and so I continue to keep spending into them. I'm hoping there's some big risk-reward payoff down the line. I gotta look at the loot tables and see if I need to keep doing this or not. Well, pretty uneventful, our first level 10 vault. We'd break the frame as we do, and nope out of here with just about a minute left on the clock or so and a pretty full inventory. Again, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more, I don't know, just more. But all in all, it was pretty cool to look at. It was a nice change of pace, and I'm glad for the theme change. Just about 2,500 experience. We killed 128 mobs in there, and that's all we got? I feel a little shortchanged. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm feeling a little bummed out, I turn to food. So we crafted up a just absolute pile of burgers. What's that? I can't hear you over the sound of me drowning my sadness in cheeseburgers. Sorry, you're just gonna have to wait. Oh my god, I'm so full, no more. We gotta run this off. We better pick up Dash. I'm actually really excited to get dash back on the menu again. This meant that we could take to the sky. I know, it seems a little weird, but it is absolutely amazing in Vault Hunters that we don't need to craft rockets to fly. All we need is dash. Propels us along just fine, and that was good news because our current Vault Crystal demanded that we have snow blocks. I had absolutely none, and it was going to take quite a while to run there and boat there, so having flying just an absolute must opens up the overworld for us even more. We'd finish playing around in the snow and expand our farm a little bit. I know, you guys are getting spoiled with all this farming content. As it turns out, the altar demands beets. Because, why not? The game hates me, I guess. Well, don't be shy, everybody. Just go ahead and soak it all in. That glorious, glorious beet farming footage. Did I mention I miss twerking? I've said it twice in this video now. Ugh, it still doesn't sound right. Well, with the Vault Altar God satisfied, we get to push the button on another crystal and a job complete. Thank goodness. I almost kind of want the Final Fantasy VII Victory fanfare to play when that completes. I don't know why. I just think it'd be kind of neat. Well, no rest for the wicked. Immediately, let's hop into this vault and get our hunting on. Vault level 11. I don't expect this is going to be too crazy. Oh, no. Back to the sandy wastelands that I'm familiar with, but ooh, something different, a scavenger vault. Now, I like scavenger vaults, and they're pretty cool. They work very similar to how they did in 1.16, except that you can get a lot of scavenger items that are not on your list. So the full spectrum of all items that are in the scavenger loot pools are available for collection, and you can actually even take them out of the vault. Sadly, you can't save them up and bring them back in. The altar will not accept them for turn-ins if it's not from the run that it was originally from. Next to each item at the top, there's a littler icon that shows where that item can be available from, whether it comes from a coin pile, whether it comes from a particular type of chest, or if it's a mob drop. Additionally, the color of the text of the item indicates how rare is that item from that source. But just like in 1.16, you come and find one of these vault altars, which the Observer Hunter ability does point the way towards those. It will sparkle green, as if the altar didn't sparkle green enough anyways. And sadly, this is going to be pretty much kind of the norm when it comes to scavenger vaults. About 30 seconds left, and you're just missing an item. We're one zombie brain short, just could not get it, selling out, running to nothing but POIs that could potentially drop it, and just didn't get lucky enough with it. RNG, it kind of sucks, but it's how the way the vault goes. Day 114 though, and we just got to get back up on it. So another vault crystal to be made, had most of the materials, minus the spruce. For some reason I just didn't have any spruce lumber around. But that's okay, easy way to find what you're looking for, nature's compass. And spruce is pretty plentiful inside of taigas and snowy taigas. Which none of them were overtly super close to me. In fact, I think the nearest one was just about 1,800 blocks away for the taiga, which, if I recall correctly as well, is an incredibly tiny one. However, the way that the Terralith blends some of these biomes together, you get little patches like this where spruce really probably doesn't have any business being anywhere near the Badlands like this, and it doesn't lead into some sort of a spruce forest, but there's enough of these here for us to be able to get what we need, and I'll go ahead and take it. We'd complete our mini deforestation and be back in the vault before you know it. This would be a monolith vault, and we'd have absolutely zero luck finding any of those, but we did come across this. It's an Omega room. I don't know what the official name for it is. It's kind of like a trading hall, but there are plentiful amounts of wooden chests all around the main building here, so that's kind of good. The way this particular room works is that there is a chance that there can be some sort of a vendor pedestal that spawns in multiple locations throughout. There can be one behind the counter in what is supposed to be like the bar area of this little particular building. There's also another little kind of shack that you'll see here in just a moment outside that can potentially have a trading altar. And there can be one inside of the cave in the opposite corner of the room from this. So inside here you see, look, there's nothing there. In fact, right where those signs are is kind of where it would be normally. We just didn't luck out. Now, we did have some luck, both good and bad, in coming across this room. You guys might remember this one from 1.16. It's a favorite. It was good luck that we found it. It was bad luck that we only found it because we made a wrong turn at one of our torches trying to find the way out towards the origination exit room. More good luck in that in this version, in 1.18, there's no mobs in here. Bad luck in that the colors don't always match up. This particular one did, but not all of them do. Good luck in that as you break them, you can get quite a lot of loot from them as well. They act like chests if they don't actually drop the color block. But yet more bad luck in that we just really didn't have enough time to deal with that room properly. Maybe next time. Ugh, experience sucks when you get sidetracked. We'd spend a couple days cleaning up our inventory, condensing our treasure and whatnot, and go ahead and roll this piece of gear that we got from our previous vault. Luck was on our side, our very first piece of Omega gear. Kept me encouraged and made me want to get right back into another vault, so let's get to it. You guys are getting absolutely spoiled with all of this farming content. I cannot even express how spoiled you guys are. Soak it all in. Look at those beets grow. Oh yeah. This is the true Vault Hunter experience. This is why you're here. We'd pause a moment and take a peek at our bounty progression. Still haven't found a monolith, and that should have been actually probably a lot easier than it has been. We really kind of need to get on that. We've got a couple other bounties waiting in the wings. This is probably a faster way to level up and something that we have been neglecting. Let's hop into this next vault. As I'm watching all of this and rewind, it makes me think that I need to reevaluate my strategy, at least for maximizing my experience potential. Getting POIs, treasure, and loot, that's all good, but being able to level up, that's going to make things even easier in the long run, and the only way to really effectively do that is to meet the objectives and or complete a lot of bounties. This particular vault, not too bad, had a villager room, sadly did not have a portal in it, so we'd nope out of here. Really wasn't anything else interesting going on, and we did not find a single monolith, so the bounty remains unfulfilled. I'm just not all that great at using that hunter ability yet. We do get better at it though, so just keep with it. See what I mean? Pretty pitiful experience for just kind of exploring and not really completing objectives. I need to get on it for sure. We'd do a little rearranging on the bounty table. We'd actually go ahead and abandon finding this monolith, which probably wasn't a smart move. If I really sold out, I think I could have easily found one, honestly, but I was impatient and decided to play around with the timing of all of that. Sure enough, we were able to refresh one and get one that we can just immediately complete. That's instant experience points. So I wasn't too sad about all of this, and I was going to take a day or so off anyways, so the time penalty really didn't bother me. Still my favorite sound of the game so far. I love it. It's back into the vault though, and we'd end up with another scavenger hunt. And this one, sadly, agonizingly close to success, but yet so far away. We'd end up being about one item shy on everything that it asked for, and it was just disappointing. I don't know how functionally you change scavenger vaults, though, to be any more fair than they are. Right now, success rate is about 1 in 10, and that seems to be about what the developers want anyways. I imagine things get better when I just simply get good, and I start unlocking even more skills, maybe a little bit more speed, etc. I don't know. Not bad experience out of that, though. We did kill an elite zombie in there, so, you know, we'll take it. We'd then spend several days just cleaning house. We'd go through some items that we had, clear out our pouches a little bit. They were starting to get full, and overall condensing smaller materials into larger ones. We'd roll the dice on a little bit of vault gear that we had received as treasure. Vault sword was kind of useless, so no surprise there. The chestplate, on the other hand, would proc rare, and I'm all for that, and it's a kitsune. That's kind of cool. Day 123, and it was the weekend, which meant patch day was just around the corner. Time for one more vault. Before then, another scavenger vault. Sadly, this one would end just like all the other ones, missing one item, little experience. Hopefully patch day brings us some good news. And just like that, patch 003 is upon us, and that means changing settings, because you kind of got to do that. At least I've had to do that with every update for the minimap. Some really cool additions, though, with this update, and most notably that of animal pens and cool little animal jars to collect all of your friendly livestock. We do a little bit of rearranging to set the stage for our new pen system area, whatever you want to call it. And the craft's really nothing too crazy to write home about. Little cobble, a little bit of fence posts, and boom, there you have it, animal pens. The way these animal pens work is you collect your non-hostile animals inside these cool little jars, and then you go and plop them inside of the fence. Now, it's a one-time thing, right? So as many as you fill into the jar is as many as goes into the pen. Once they're in the pen, you can interact with them in terms of providing them with food, and then they'll start breeding, or using various tools and whatnot to gather resources from them. So we'd spend a day or two out in the wilds, just gathering up a crap ton of all the friendly mobs that we possibly could, give us a nice start, and we'd come back with some pigs, chicken, sheep, and cows. What was really interesting is it wasn't until I actually built these pens that their resources started showing up in the vault altars. Don't think I forgot about you guys. More farming. This time farming with a purpose, because we needed a lot of resources to be able to get these guys to start breeding up. I wanted just an absolute crap ton of resources from them. Did you happen to notice that on the shiny chicken there? When we fed them, they got just a little bit bigger. There's actually no limit to how big that can be, and I've seen some pictures on the interwebs that show them to be absolutely ginormous, like 15, 20 blocks tall. Day 130, and I wanted to check out the new update to see if there were any changes to the vaults. Look at that, another scavenger hunt. And look at that, another scavenger hunt painfully close that we just didn't get enough resources to be able to close out. Well, no real change there. And the experience just a little shy of 3,000. That's not bad, a lot of mobs in there with that furious modifier though. So we try another one. We'd get trapped, and I knew better. That did not mean locked, so we were okay. Hey, another scavenger vault. This one, super frustrating. We only needed 2 more of these little zombie hides, and they're actually not all that uncommon in wooden chests. So, super disappointed we could not bring this one to a close. I'm starting to really dislike scavenger vaults. I don't want to. I like the idea and the concept and the premise. I just like to actually succeed at one. Good experience, though. I guess there's not too much to cry about. But even with little success in the scavenger vaults, I want more. Somewhat addicted to these things if you haven't figured it out by now, so right back into another vault. This one had a little bit of a surprise. I didn't know you could actually double up on the modifiers. 2 times chunky mobs meant everyone was just going to be dummy thick. Also notice since the update there's some rendering and FPS issues. Even though the pack included rubidium, I suspect I'm overlooking some settings that may have changed since we first got everything all dialed in. Though something that doesn't suck, finding this room again early on in the vault run. That meant we had more time to go about gathering these question blocks. I like this change. A lot better than the previous version with the mobs and the chests. Functionally, they're the same as the chests, just really I'm excited that there's no mobs in here. You can kind of take your time. But I didn't want to spend all day in here. We'd go and bust a few of the easy ones, try to build up our bank. We just really weren't going to be able to solve the puzzle with what it was dropping us. Blue, for me anyways, super common. Pink, not as much as you'd hope for. Do a little inventory manager cleanup in here and try to figure out which way we came in and which way we wanted to go back out. I wish I had a better way to be able to mark things instead of just throwing down torches, but you know what? I'm still committed to not enabling the waypoints on the minimap. Our very next room, though, was a town, and this one did have a portal, so that was super awesome. We came prepared. I still hate these silverfish, though, and man, they seem to be a little bit more prolific than they normally are in regular strongholds. I don't know, maybe it's just my imagination, but these little suckers have a little bit of knockback to them, and they replicate pretty quickly and infect other stone blocks all around them super fast. I don't know, they just seem way more aggressive. Now, I know I'd asked the question the first time we came across one of these rooms, if when we complete it, it's always going to be living chests. The answer to that question is yes, these will always be living chests, which is kind of a little bit of a bummer. I'd like to see gilded or ornate chests in here from time to time. I think it would give it a little bit more spice. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being greedy. And in keeping with our greedy traditions, we'd knock out the portal frame, grab a couple of freebie chunks. We haven't had to go back underground in some time, so that's kind of nice. And nope, out of another unsuccessful vault. We did use Hunter a fair bit of time inside of this vault, just could not locate a single obelisk. Really going to need to probably max out Hunter to be able to get that 64 block radius as opposed to 32, what it's currently at level 1, to really make it impactful. But even without vault success, we were still getting pretty plentiful treasure loot, so that's not bad. Day 135, and we'd spend a little bit of time going around just taking care of things around the base, farming up a little bit, breeding our animals, and getting ready to hop into yet another vault. Another obelisk vault, but I would soon not care about that whatsoever because we found another trading hall room, and this one had actual trading posts. Well, there was a tempting vault helmet there. That's not bad. This is the reason why we carry spare gold around with us inside of our pouches. Sparkling Jewel, on the other hand, for only 2 gold, that seemed like a steal. We absolutely are going to buy this thing. That gives us plus 25% if we can put it into a socket on one of our pickaxes in terms of mining speed. Super, super awesome, and we don't have to waste the Sparkletine gems getting one. And then, wouldn't you know it, a better deal came along. Another sparkling gem, this time for 1 vault gold. This was super amazing. I am absolutely now sold on these rooms. Even if they don't always spawn with trades in hand. I don't know, maybe something with the 003 update fixed them. We'd actually end up finding 1 obelisk, which was a far cry away from the 5 that we needed to summon a boss, but I really didn't care. We noped out of this vault, happy and content with our 2 sparkling jewels. All in all, I was feeling pretty excited and pretty rejuvenated about that. 2400 experience, still not all that great, but you know what? Progress is progress. We'd go ahead and roll and get a little lucky on a vault sword that we had picked up in that last run, and it procced rare. That's not bad either. Things were starting to go our way. We'd take a quick pause from vaults and our good luck and spend just a little bit of time beautifying the base a little bit. A little bit of time in the nether to get some warp wood to be able to create a chest storage system for all of our vault loot. Felt like time well spent. It was long overdue and we were starting to get a little bit cramped with the way everything was. So a couple days later, after sorting through everything, condensing stuff, marking it up as we do, have a nice little storage system here. All in all, not too shabby for not having any storage mods yet. I then soon realized that I hadn't been getting shards inside of the vault for killing stuff. We needed a soul pouch, and relatively easy to craft. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. Live and learn. I was trying to get back into the vaults, but we got a little bit derailed because the altar wanted some slime balls, and I needed a more efficient way of being able to get them. So, not too far away from the main center of our base, I found 2 slime chunks relatively close together. Spent about 4 days hollowing this out, as one does, but the results were pretty successful. We lit it up, made several platforms for slimes to be able to spawn on, and lo and behold, it spawns slimes. It's not a lot of slimes, but it's enough, and it got us the slime balls that we need. Eventually, if they start becoming more and more prevalent, if I don't find another solution or unlock cages anytime in the near future, we may come back down here and modify this to be automatic, set up, the water and the iron golems that you do to attract them, and the magma blocks to kill them and whatnot, but that seemed like a lot of work, and I had already spent 4 days hollowing that out. I wanted to get back into the vault, so a job for another day. Not sure why I was itching to get back in here so damn fast, because look at that, another scavenger vault. Alright, we'd go ahead and try to sell out on this one just as hard as we could. Came down to seconds left on the clock before we noped out and 3 items short. This one felt super frustrating, not sure why. I don't know. I don't have a habit, you do. I'm not addicted. I can quit anytime I want. It is 100% entirely possible that my addiction is fueled by my brain's needs for the validation of the happy noise that occurs when turning in and completing a bounty. Not only did we complete our bounty in that last run, but there's another one that's very, very simple to complete using just diamonds. Oh my gosh, get ready, here it comes. Oh yeah, that's so good. Let's do it again. Do it again. Ah yeah, it did the thing. And not to be outdone by bounties, my addiction can also be fueled by my need for progression. That's right, validation of big numbers getting higher and higher. We already have speed increase 1, as you can see here on the screen. But let's see what happens with speed increase 2. Leveling up because I'm a good boy. And now we go the zoom. Oh my gosh, this is actually nauseatingly fast. So fast, I'd actually have to clear my head with some random chicken slaying. Get wrecked, chicken. Get wrecked! Nah, just kidding. The vault altar needed some raw chicken, so, The speed increase was worrisome, though, because it seemed to actually warp reality. That's actually a thing. I don't know what's causing that to happen, but it's a direct result of going so fast. Well, anyway, time to put the speed to the test where it matters, in the vault. And we'd get a lucky, and unfortunately a frail one. Let's see how this actually pans out for us. Definitely outpacing the render speed, that's for sure. Well, I know lucky applies to the chests that you open in terms of improving their loot pool, but it seemed pretty lucky to me that we came across this X marks the spot room. Now, since my first tragic experience with these rooms in the modified 1.18 version, I have since learned that it is far better to carve out a little room, 3x3 will work, and actually use a little bit of water to make your way down. The vault walls are not going to disappear until you're actually technically touching the ground, which will count if you're swimming at the very bottom of the water. You'll see, it'll make sense once we get down here. This also allows us the opportunity to be able to escape upwards, because mobs can spawn above us, but they'll be in the water path. It's not going to knock us directly out. As it turns out, was going to end up being a non-issue. We got that bling, yo. Now let's just see how lucky this all is. Well, not too bad all in all. There were 21 chests, one of them trapped. We still see the remnants of that as we are leaving here. See, these mobs spawned up above, and that's why it makes it so dangerous when it ends up not being the actual treasure. And 5 of the chests were special chests. They were upgraded in terms of loot. So 25% rate, I think that's pretty lucky. I also think it was pretty lucky that we came across this shop pavilion room. There were 2 different trade stations available. Neither one had anything enticing that I wanted to pull the trigger on, and we'd end up out of that vault with just an absolute crap ton of positive loot. Not a bad run. We spent a couple days playing around with various settings and looking at some additional items that were included in the update. Most notably, we changed our view from Quake Pro down to just about 100 FOV. Much, much better for my vertigo, that's for sure. We'd actually find out we even had enough materials to be able to craft another knowledge star, so we do that, making our grand total of 3. I went back and forth on what to spend this on. We're kind of at that stage in the game where having a sorting system and inventory management mod would be really handy to have. Simple storage network easily could get us set up for a while. I decided to instead go for more looting potential. I want to be ultra efficient inside of the vaults, and that means only one clear path of expansion, and that's going to double pouches. Literally, we double the amount of space that we have in the pouch, and that's going to make looting a little bit easier. To make this a little easier to achieve, though, because we're going to need to craft bundles, and that means we're going to need rabbit hides. Well, guess what? Rabbits fit quite nicely inside of the jar when you can run them down. But with speed 2, really not much of an issue. I think you guys know how this goes. Apply said rabbit to said pen. Do a little bit more of your guys' favorite content. I never get why you guys love this stuff, but there it is. Look at that. Carrots growing. Woohoo. Little pro tip when you go to breed your animals, though. Have all of your resource in one pile instead of smaller ones, because it will use absolutely the maximum possible to be able to breed the maximum, instead of having to wait on smaller batches. We'd finally get enough resources to be able to craft some more pouches, to then be able to craft the now coveted double pouch. And just like the previous pouch, we'd get it set up with the various items inside that we want to auto loot, and with the pickup modifications in place, we were ready to give this thing a try. The vault wants me to do 6 obelisks. Well, that's not happening. Time to see what sort of loot we can get out of this. Now, one thing I've found to be super efficient is being able to break wooden chests with an axe, because all the loot, if it's on the ground, immediately goes into the pouch without you having to move it from your inventory into the pouch. You can also break the other chests as just one item at a time if it's ornate or gilded, etc. So not quite as efficient, but definitely a lot faster than sorting. And look at this, the end of the vault, we break all this like we normally do, but this time there's plenty of space in my inventory to pick up all these random blocks. You know it's working when that happens. Also, check this out. We set a new personal record. 74 chests looted, 3,300 experience off of that. That's not bad. Can you feel it? We're on a roll now, and that roll is not going to stop. We've got a pretty favorable vault here, 3 monoliths, and a village. And a village that has a portal underneath. This is pretty fortuitous. We'd make our own shortcut to the portal room because I just don't like dealing with the randomness inside of these places. The loot's not all that great down here anyways, and honestly, having this many living chests is the only reason it's worthwhile coming down there. We'd actually finally get good at using Hunter as well, using it religiously at both the beginning and the end of every room that we went to, and systematically just working our way through the grid. I originally thought we were going to need to really invest a lot of skill points into this to get some utility out of it, but it's just really not the case. It sees pretty significantly far away. Sadly, it still also identifies those vault altars as points of interest. It's just the give and take with this, I guess. But that aside, we were on our way to finding the third monolith. And would you look at that, a 2-for-1, a monolith and a vault altar that I had absolutely zero interest in. As it turns out, completing the monolith does not give you a free pass out of the vault. You have to find your own way back. That's why we leave the torches. I know we left some time on the clock, but I was excited to get this one done. And it was well worth it. Not only did we get just a crap ton of experience, I mean, look at this, that's a significant chunk towards the end of the level. But when we hit claim, we would be rewarded with our vault crate. And thanks to the third version update, that crate no longer just disappears on you if your inventory's full. Thank goodness for that, I had completely forgot that was an issue. Now it's time for my favorite part, let's do it! Ah, yeah, it's so good. It never gets old. What? A shield? I totally forgot shields were a thing in this game, since you can't really craft them anyways. Well, let's see what we get. It's just an uncommon, but it's a shield that we didn't have, so we'll take it. Vault Gear's Vault Gear. Day 158, we'd keep pushing on. Opulent, ornate, and trapped. That's a little bit of a mouthful, but it all translates into a somewhat successful attempt here at a scavenger vault. Some very interesting and unique configurations for POIs resulting in almost getting overrun before we were able to come over to this ornate chest and get the last piece we were looking for the scavenger hunt. I felt pretty good about this run. We played it right and really kind of sold out on making sure we got to as many of these chests as possible, being able to make this turn-in with still some time on the clock. The one thing that I do like about these turn-ins is that it ends the vault run right away. You get teleported out within 15 seconds. Skeleton had some other ideas for me, but we'd go down and handle it before it became any amount of an issue. Sadly, we couldn't quite break that treasure chest before we got teleported out. Oh well. I'm satisfied with the win, and 7,600, that's a new record for a single vault. I will absolutely take that. Time to condense some of this down. We spent the next 20 days doing nothing but running vaults. There'd be some unsuccessful ones, and there'd be some successful monolith ones. Those aren't bad. I love seeing those happen. There were also some less than successful scavenger ones, but not bad experience all in all. We'll take it. There were definitely a couple of back-to-back, not even close obelisk runs. I've still yet to summon a boss inside of one of these things. It's definitely something on the to-do list. But as you see here, the experience is starting to go down. In fact, it'd go way down with the failure of that scavenger vault. We're now on day 184, and it was somewhat ironic, this vault. It's a gilded vault in the really pretty looking frozen version. Ironic in the sense that I just had to fly several thousand blocks away to be able to get those sweet berries from Etiga that was nowhere near the base, and then in turn, the game gives me a vault full of those berries. All of that irony aside, though, was immediately forgotten when I came across this room. I had actually seen this, just a glimpse of one, when I was running for my life to get out of a vault, absolutely no time whatsoever to deal with it. So finding this one early on was an absolute blessing, and these things are great. These paint cans, they're full of chests, like lots and lots of chests. Super, super condensed loot. And when you're done breaking these things, these teardrops up in the sky are full of vault ores, including some fairly rare player ores. It absolutely makes it worth your time to pillar up and be able to get into these things. There's just so much special ore all around inside of these things that I think it's probably the second best room next to that of the actual ore shaft, mine room, whatever you guys want to call it. And lo and behold, we haven't come across one of those yet either. But this is no time to be down about that. There is all kinds of loot to be had here. If you didn't notice, this is also a scavenger hunt vault. And what's really cool about coming across a room like this is there's just such a high concentration of chests, it's pretty easy to be able to get quite a lot of the items that you're looking for, particularly if they come from the wooden chests or the living chests. We'd also make our way down to the bottom area. Using a water bucket seemed like the easiest way to me, although I'm pretty confident there were some stairs somewhere, I just didn't come across them. Kind of another 2-for-1 here, these paintbrushes are surrounded by all sorts of coin piles, which is, again, very helpful if you're doing a scavenger hunt. We'd actually end up agonizingly close on this one, and I'm a little surprised we didn't get it because we had pretty good luck running into the chest that we needed for that item to drop. It just didn't proc the way that it needed to go in terms of rarity for the loot table for the item to be there. That's just part of the RNG of these things and what keeps you coming back for more. All in all though, still happy to have come across that paint room. Super fun experience. Well, we're getting closer to the end of the video here, and that means we got to sneak in just a little bit more farming for you guys. I know, this is the content you're all here for. You've made no illusions about that. Absolutely what you want to see. I know that's probably not true, but if you guys want to say contrary to the otherwise, by all means, like, subscribe, leave me some feedback in the comments below. I am more than happy to cut it out. Seriously. We would spend a little bit of time buffing up our sheep population to 288 exactly. The reason for that is because it creates just enough wool for us to sell twice to a shepherd and be able to max out the trade. We can actually even use one piece of dye to change the color of the entire stack of all 288 sheep, allowing us to toggle back and forth every other shearing and be able to have 4 quantity fulls worth of trade in hand. That's a lot of emeralds. I'd actually forget the spacebar trick. I'd spend a lot of time manually trying to figure this out, and then it occurred to me, you have to click the trade on the left-hand side in order for the spacebar to replenish it automatically. If you hand drag the items into the trade window, it just doesn't work. Why that is, I don't know, but I suspect that's just plain vanilla shenanigans. And here we go, changing the sheep to black sheep. All of them for 1 dye. Super, super efficient. We did take a little detour into the nether, a field trip if you would. I needed some glowstone. Why? Because I was really tired of the base being so dim, despite there being plenty of light level all the way around. Now I know what you're thinking, but no, I'm not going to put glowstone in the tiles. We actually have some really nice crafting ability to make some overhead fluorescent lights, I guess you could call it. For just a little bit of granite and a little bit of this glowstone, you get these illuminate slabs. You can then take the slabs and you can make them into panels, multiplying the amount that you get. Super, super cheap recipe, and it really makes a difference in terms of interior lighting. This little detour was actually kind of a nice little refresher from the vaults because it made me remember there's a lot more to just running vaults. There's something to be said for taking pride in your base, and in the 1.16 series, we definitely did that by building from the ground up. We kind of cheesed it a little bit, taking just kind of over all the tunnelways here of the abandoned mine shafts. I think we need to actually dedicate a little bit of time in the next 100 days to truly fleshing out the base. Definitely going to need to do it by the time we unlock our storage systems. But there's no time for that now. It's day 189 and we're back into the vault. This looks to be on the surface a very simple scavenger. 3 items, a grand total of 5 all in all, but 2 of them are relatively rare to come across. We took this one again down to the wire. We just could not get the green bangle to drop from the coin piles. We broke quite a few coin piles. In fact, we'll take a look at the stat screen when we pop outside here, but I honestly thought we were going to be able to get it. 11 coin piles and not 1 bangle. Well, it is what it is. We did get enough experience though to ding, and that meant 4 skill points, and that was going to go right into strength. Now, speed, haste, and strength are as high as they can go with the recent changes that now push out the 3rd tier of that until much higher in level. Okay, this doesn't really qualify as farming content, okay? This is just a very simple little cactus farm. It'll do its own thing even if I'm not there, but it'll allow me to stand in the middle, use our farmer ability, and get cacti anytime the vault demands. Why are we building it now? Well, very simply, the vault demanded it. Come on, put 2 and 2 together, people. It's pretty simplistic. There's nothing super crazy about it. I do kind of wish it worked a little bit faster, but yeah, it is what it is. Passively, it's just whatever the natural growth rate of these cactuses are. Cactuses, I always get tripped up on that, not sure which one's the right one. Maybe both are, who knows. English is a weird language. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, things that the vault demands. The vault also needed some moss, more than I had left over from pillaging an underground lush cavern. We just simply did this by hand in some spare hallways that I wasn't using. I didn't really want to set up a farm, I just couldn't be bothered. We'll eventually get to it, I'm sure. The vault gets very demanding with this. It's now December 18th, that means Sunday, that means patch day. We are on the 4th update, as they are now just simply calling it, and a lot has changed. We lost a couple days worth of recording because I'm a little bit of an idiot. I left the game unpaused while I handled some phone calls, and lo and behold, this is what you get. We did use all of our black opal to be able to create a black chromatic pickaxe. It's just slightly better than the one we had, but it does have a little bit more reach than previous. And you might be wondering, what sort of a hellscape is this that we just walked into? This is the new festive holiday vaults. I don't know how long they're going to run for, but it's kind of interesting. It is a scavenger vault as well, but I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. My plan of attack here was actually just kind of collect maybe some of these little decorations to put up on display for when the festivities end and go away. Really kind of a neat change of pace, and I was not expecting this. I'm just going to be completely honest. It's pretty cool. POIs are reworked as well. If you noticed up there before we fell down so gracefully, that all of the chests have been replaced with presents. Makes it a little bit difficult to determine what's actually what, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too difficult all the way around. Aside from the holiday vaults, the new patch has changed actually quite a lot of things. Fairy lights are now in the game. We'll have to figure those out. They're always kind of pretty. And there's been some adjustments to the way bounties work. They now better scale with what your actual vault level is, so that's cool. Unobtainium? The hell is unobtainium? Well, we obtained it. As it turns out, you get 4 of these, you can make a block. You break the block down, you get 5 ingots back, meaning it's an infinite source of that particular ingot to be able to make that particular block. And as far as I know, it doesn't do anything else other than that. It's super obtainable for being called unobtainium. All of this stems as part of a rework of loot inside of the vault. Additionally, there are now no longer vanilla ores to be found inside of the vault, so things like gold, iron, lapis, etc. You're just not going to get those. That means I'm going to have to break down and eventually make some sort of an iron farm. It was probably long overdue anyways. But check out the reach on this pickaxe here. That's like halfway across the room we can hit that thing. Love it.
No, not the buttons! Not my gumdrop buttons!
What the heck?
The Muffin Man!
And okay, that really takes the cake as the creepiest thing I have ever seen inside of any video game ever. Tip of the hat to you, Skull and Dev Team. That is absolutely horrifying. What's not horrifying, if you remember when I was talking about how vanilla ores have been removed from the game, means that these ore piles are filled with nothing but actual goodness. They're worth going after now because they're guaranteed to be either this vault stone or one of these ores that you're probably going to want quite a bit of. I'd say this is a pretty fair trade for all the other random stuff that's now appearing inside of the chests. This does mean I'm going to have to fundamentally rework all of the item filters that I have in my belt. Yes, we now have a belt as we've upgraded from our double pouch, and I have absolutely zero regrets. Look at all that storage, although a good portion of those items now can simply come out of there. Well, that does it for the Holiday Vault and for the completion of day 200. We made it, another 100 days. We didn't die past level 10 in the vault, so that's pretty good. We haven't just completely lost all of our stuff, and I'll take that as an absolute win in this series. This will be the last video of the year 2022. Thank you everybody so much for being along for the ride. It has been an absolute joy. I hope everybody has just a festive holiday season. I wish you and all the very best. Everybody stay safe out there, and we will see you guys again in the new year. Cheers, everybody.